Ricciardo goes for it from a long way back. This would be sensational if he makes it. And do you know what? He has made it. Smiles will be out at 18 years and 227 days old. Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. Hamilton has more wins than any other driver in Formula One history. And he is not done yet.
Welcome to Getting a Grip F1, powered by the Inner Sanctum. I'm Brandon Moritz, joined by Jess Fisher, and today we're going to be doing a short episode covering the news over the last week or so. So do you want to start us off, Jess?
Yeah, of course. So obviously one of the main headlines of the week was that Haas are retaining their 2021 driver lineup of Nikitia Mazepin and Mick Schumacher. So what are your thoughts on this? I feel like we're both kind of on the same stance on this one.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I think we all know why they're staying with Mazepin. He's brings a lot of money to the team, and obviously, if they could, they would get rid of Mazepin, but there must be legal issues there preventing them from getting rid of him. And obviously, they're looking to keep the money, but I guess we'll see what happens in the future if it starts affecting other sponsorships, because obviously, as soon as it was announced, the whole world essentially went crazy. So, yeah, I think I'll find it hard to cover him next year, but I guess it's something that you have to do.
Yeah, as I feel like if there wasn't such the legal and financial wise, they'd definitely be getting rid of him, like you said. But I am surprised that Gene Haas is allowing them to be with his name, because it is going to end up damaging the brand. And we've already seen some outlets, they're saying that they're not going to mention his name at all, and they're going to completely ignore that he's there. But we have seen as well, in other sports, you've got athletes that are being dropped by sponsors because of minor issues. So you've got Tiger Woods, for example. So I'm surprised that this isn't happening here. I'm surprised sponsors haven't started dropping out already. But as you said, that might be because of the legal reasons. But as well, I feel quite bad for Mick Schumacher because I feel like the emphasis has always been put on Nikitia Mazepin. So he's kind of being forgotten about. He was always a bit underestimated just because of his name. But now that he's gone through the ranks, he's won the F2 championship, and now everyone's talking about his teammates. So I do feel a bit bad for him as well.
And that's the thing too. Every time Haas now post about him, it's directly after they've released a statement on Nikitia Mazepin. So then the post just gets absolutely overtaken by people saying, "Don't post this," to kind of cover your tracks. So yeah, I feel like it's kind of taking away from Mick Schumacher's entry into the sport. Obviously, this will mar next year too if Mazepin's still with him. So yeah, it's put him in a difficult situation, but I hope it doesn't affect him too much, and I hope he can still stay focused, because it would distract you a lot. And especially now, because I think they'll be even more competitive. Obviously Nikita's going to want to, I guess, prove himself. So hopefully it doesn't affect next year too much, but obviously it'll affect how everyone sees the team. And I think a lot of people are already deciding to at least stop their support for Haas now. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but it's in my opinion, I don't think it should have happened.
Yeah, definitely. I think it will show how good Mick Schumacher is. I do think he's going to be miles ahead. But no, it's definitely damaging for the team, and I don't really see how they're gonna recover from it unless they do something as soon as they can, because it's kind of ruining the We Racers One message as well. Because do we really? So that's kind of ruining the whole thing. But yeah. So moving on then, we've got like a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember, it was last week, Hamilton won the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. But then after that, there was a whole debate on whether F1 was a sport or not. So I feel like it definitely is to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. For me, the definition of a sport is something that you train intensely on and is inherently competitive. It's just like, ballet is a sport. Being a gymnast is a sport, and it's the exact same in F1. These guys have to train extensively to be able to compete in the sport. It's one of the most competitive sports easily in the world. It's the same with F2, F3, all the people that race in there. So yeah, I think he's 100% eligible for the position, and I think he's been probably one of the most dominant sports people of the year, easily, if not the decade, when we look at his achievements. So it's a bit silly if people are saying that F1 isn't a sport when what these drivers go through to actually race in it.
Yeah, he definitely deserves it. I can't believe that people are even like raising it as an issue, because sport is a competition against opposing teams or like individuals. So that this, like, it literally could be said about any sport, like you said, like ballet or things like that. Like, they are sports. I don't understand how it can't be. Like, at what point does it not become a sport? You have to be unbelievably fit to race in Formula One, and like the G-forces as well. But as well, if you look at like motorsport in general, you've got Stirling Moss at the Mille Miglia race in 1955. Like, there's no way you can say he just drove a car there, because this was when he drove 1,000 miles for 10 hours, like non-stop, at an average speed of 99 miles per hour, like through twisty roads with like people on the track. I think he had an accident at one point, and to top that all off, like his brake pedal broke. So to put that into context, if you were like driving on the motorway for 2 hours, like, you're ready for a break at the end of that, and that's nothing compared to this. So I don't see the argument that it's not. You're definitely, like, it's more than just a sport if you think about all the aspects that are in it. So yeah, that's my take on that one.
Yeah, and you're looking at the danger of it too. The risk involved in it, I guess, is almost part of that. In basketball and things like that, you don't have the risk of of going at 200 miles per hour, 300 miles per hour, or whatever. But yeah, I think it ultimately just comes down to, every single time people talk about Lewis Hamilton, is that they don't like his dominance, and I think they want to take away from his achievements. But no, I'm really, really happy that he got that, that he got the award, and I think he easily deserves it.
Yeah, definitely. You could see how, like, I'm assuming you guys haven't watched it, but like, you can see how like relieved he was when he won it as well, because he didn't expect it. I think a lot of people underestimate him, and I don't know, kind of like cast him down. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. So Verstappen has said that he has no regrets over his missed Mercedes F1 chance. Do you think that that's true, or are you thinking that he's saying that because he's in the Red Bull now, locked into the contract?
Well, I think it would be true. I think if he did go to Mercedes, it would kind of like ruin the team harmony that they have. Like with Rosberg and Hamilton, they I don't know, the team kind of suffered with those two. Obviously, they were still winning, but it kind of created a bit of conflict. So I think with Hamilton and Verstappen, none of those two would have wanted to be a number 2 driver, and they would have definitely have been like collisions on track, I think, because they've been like so desperate for it. Like, you've seen it throughout the years as well, like with Prost and Senna. Like, it doesn't come good when you've got 2 drivers that are like proper going for it. And I don't think Verstappen would be the team leader at Mercedes. I think that Hamilton would still be winning. So I think where he is now at Red Bull, he's made his mistakes, but he's been able to like learn with the car. He's now like the number 1 driver. He's like the car's fitted around him, and I don't think he would have really gotten that opportunity with Mercedes. So I think he's kind of in the best position he is now, and like he's just got to wait a few more years, and then like they'll properly be ready to like compete against Mercedes. They are already there, but like for a world championship.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think what you were saying about Rosberg and Hamilton too, I don't think Verstappen is as patient as Rosberg in terms of his driving style, and that's just a result of him being young. So I think it would have been exacerbated if it was Verstappen Hamilton compared to Rosberg Hamilton. I think we would have had a lot more collisions. And that's the point. A team almost needs to have a second driver. There needs to have the driver that's bringing up the rear for obviously the main driver. And that's the issue that Red Bull's had. It will never work to have two drivers who are vying for the championship, or at least two first drivers. Like I think McLaren's going to try and do that next year with Norris and Ricciardo, but I think it'll be pretty quick where it becomes that there'll be a driver that's ahead of the other. But I think what you're saying is true. I think he's in a good position at Red Bull, and I think that he'll be able to at least capitalise from the 2022 deal. I think that's when he's got the most opportunity when Hamilton retires, if that ever happens. But I think that's what he's waiting for. I think he's lying in wait at Red Bull. And yeah, he's got a car that works around him, so it's definitely his best opportunity.
Yeah, he's definitely like in the best position if somewhere at Mercedes becomes available. But yeah, I think, as I said, he's definitely had the chance to grow with the car as well, and I think that he is going to be a world champion in Red Bull. I can't see him going anywhere else. I don't know why, but I just can't see him in another environment, because I think there as well they all know what he wants, if you know what I mean. So he's kind of like ready, like, I don't know, just number one driver.
Yeah, that's it. And with the Ferraris almost taken out of the mix for next year, and hopefully they'll recover for 2022. But if they're next season with Charles Leclerc, who I see as definitely has the capability of being a world champion as well, with him essentially out of the race next year, I think it is Verstappen's time to shine. And in a year where realistically Red Bull should have performed a lot better than it did this year, I think next year will be their best opportunity, especially with Perez coming to the team now.
Yeah, definitely. I think Perez will push him forward as well, because he's like got that experience obviously in other teams, but I think together that they could be quite good, because I think Perez could like push him forward and like give him a bit more of a challenge, the thing that he needs to like okay, like need to keep going, if you know what I mean. But so moving on, the Turkish Grand Prix was voted for the best by fans on the F1 official website. So I think that was definitely a long list to pick from, but I think Turkish Grand Prix would have been mine. What about you? Where do you think would have been yours?
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing that was different, at least for the first half of the Turkish GP, was that the whole race, like throughout the whole field, was exciting. Obviously you had Hamilton and Bottas's terrible starts, Stroll on pole, Vettel and Leclerc ending up fighting for a podium position. Like it just had everything that you needed in a race that I think a lot of the races this year kind of lacked. Even though it ended with a Hamilton win, it felt satisfying because he fought his way through. He showed why he's so dominant and how skilled he can be. And it was the race he essentially finished on slicks, wasn't it? Like when he worn down his tyres. So, yeah, I 100% agree with it. I think it was one of the most exciting races of the year.
I think the actual racing arguably wasn't the best, but it was the fact that the best of the year, but it's the fact that they had everything going on. Like, it was like driving on ice, because the conditions were so like different to what we would normally have like every other week. But for Lewis to win his 7th World Championship, the way he drove in that race, like really did justify how much of a successful driver he was, and I thought it was nice to see Vettel on the podium with him as well, because I don't know, I always think of those two together when I think of this era. But no, like you said, it kind of had a bit of everything. If I was to say a runner-up, I'd say I think was it Monza, Gasly's win. I don't want to get it wrong. But yeah, I'd say that one with Carlos chasing him down. I think that would have been my second. But no, I definitely agree with the Turkish Grand Prix on top.
Yeah, I can't. I can't find it. Yeah, it was the Italian GP, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't remember. There was how many races were there in Italy this year? Was it 3?
Yeah, it was 3. Does Imola count as an Italian one? I can't remember. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm fairly sure it does. Yeah, it was Monza where Gasly won, and yeah, I think, and again, that just had everything too, I guess. You've got 3 people on the podium that no one expected to be at the end of that race. But yeah, there's just something about that Turkish GP. I think it almost shut people up a little bit, because everyone was, even I at the start was like, oh, what's happening to Hamilton? This is weird. But then he just switched on. It was like he took off, he dialed in the track, and he just left. But yeah, definitely Monza was a runner-up for me too.
Yeah, I think this year we've just had so many great races that it's kind of hard to remember them all, because it's been so eventful and there've been so much to discuss. But yeah, I think it's been a really great season. Obviously, we did the season recap, so I don't want to go into it too much. But yeah, I think it's been really good.
That's it, and it feels like it's almost blending together because they're so close. Usually there's not a whole heap of time between races, but having back to back, and getting it all done in what essentially would be half a season. Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep up a little bit. And then you've got, again, like I was saying, 3 different races in the same country. It's just hard to keep up. But yeah, no, I'm happy that the fans have voted for the Turkish GP. I think it was probably the best option out of all of them. And we'll just finish up by talking about Frank Williams being out of hospital, thankfully. He's now recovering at home. I'm not sure exactly what was wrong with him, but I'm just glad to see that he's okay and back on the mend, because obviously he's such an icon of the sport.
Yeah, definitely. It was really good news just before Christmas as well, to see that he was back home with his family. And obviously we don't want to hear the news like this, so it was really good to know that he's back well, and yeah, just wish him all the best in the rest of his recovery.
That's it. We'll hopefully see him back on the grid next year if we can have some extra people there, but I guess it's all a little bit up in the air right now, so we'll see what happens anyway. Okay, well, we'll finish up there. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll be back again, I think it's within a week, depending on the news, for another news recap. Thanks for that, guys.
Ricciardo goes for it from a long way back. This would be sensational if he makes it. And do you know what? He has made it. Smiles will be out at 18 years and 227 days old. Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. Hamilton has more wins than any other driver in Formula One history. And he is not done yet.